The Philadelphia 76ers are favorites to trade for Jimmy Butler if he does get dealt by the Miami Heat. And on today's 76ers, now we're going to get to the latest around him from NBA insider Shams Charania, as well as NBA insider Marc Stein. The 76ers offseason is well off the ground, and the rumors are hot around this basketball team. To start things off, this is today's poll question, and I want to hear from all of you down in the comment section right now. This is also the pinned comment of today's video. Would you be open to a Jimmy Butler reunion? Type Y for yes, N for no. Either way, explain your reasoning for us down in the comment section and show us that you know ball. Jimmy Butler causing a stir this week with his comments on a video that went viral on social media and saying the Boston Celtics would be at home if I was healthy, and the New York Knicks would definitely be home if I was healthy. Pretty much implying that if he was playing for the Heat, they would have beat Boston in the first round, and if he was on the Philadelphia 76ers, they would not have lost to the New York Knicks. In that video, he's also saying, Josh Hart, come on now, and kind of called out Tom Thibodeau saying, you want me, but I don't want you. With Jimmy Butler, it's always something. And I kind of do appreciate the personality because that's part of what makes him a competitive savant, a competitive dog, and a cutthroat, cold-blooded killer when it matters the most in the NBA playoffs, because we know in the regular season, Jimmy Butler doesn't really care. Here's what Pat Riley, though, said about Jimmy Butler's comments, and he kept it 100. He kept it frank. If you're not on the court playing against Boston, not on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut. Now, he didn't say that in an intense way, like he was really angry, but keep in mind, Pat Riley, a little bit of a boomer at this point, certainly long in the tooth, has been in the NBA for a long time. What's interesting about his comments is that he was coaching during the bad boy era in which there was a lot of smack talk. There was a lot of physicality, and there was a lot of trash talk between teams and rivals at the NBA level. Jimmy Butler does have that old school type of personality, but it's a new era, and Pat Riley, I guess he's not with that. Here's what Shams Charania had to say in his reporting about Jimmy Butler as some of this trade buzz has started to pick up some momentum. It is interesting, the back and forth that we're seeing between Butler and Miami, but I think Jimmy Butler has always made it clear he wants to be in Miami long term. It's going to be about, are they going to be able to pay him what he wants? And for Jimmy Butler, a completely different player in the playoffs as compared to the regular season. And I could see the Sixers trading for him just not giving a damn during the regular season because he sits out a lot of games, and then that on top of Joel Embiid having to go through load management and not playing a lot of games, and Sixers fans being fed up and annoyed with the lack of availability for their two stars in Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid, while leaving a lot for Tyrese Maxey to have to handle because on a lot of nights, he's going to have to be that number one, number two option, and he's going to have to really play a lot of minutes and a lot of burn. But look, I'm here to tell you, I don't really care what Jimmy Butler does in the regular season. And shoot, I don't care what the Philadelphia 76ers do in the regular season. For me, it all comes down to playoff time. That's when Jimmy Butler plays his best. That's when he rises up to the occasion. That's when on any given night, he's one of, if not the best player in the world. And for the Sixers team, I want to see them get past the second round for the first time since 2001. And all I've known basically my entire lifetime outside of 2001 is this Sixers team consistently coming up short. So you look at his numbers over the last 4 years, the production has been there. The production has been really good. What's weird is that in the regular season, he doesn't really take three-pointers, about 3 a game. But in the playoffs, again, he becomes a completely different player where he starts to be a little bit more aggressive. How does that fit alongside Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid? A little bit of a concern, but I could spin it this way. Maybe when you have these types of players and these 3 players in this instance, it helps conserve the energy for Embiid and Jimmy Butler. And shoot, I'd rather have Jimmy Butler in the place of Tobias Harris for that money. We gave you what Shams Charania had to say about Butler. Here's more from Marc Stein, another respected NBA insider. Jimmy Butler's future in Miami has become an increasingly hot topic in league circles in the wake of the Heat's first-round exit. Butler has one guaranteed season left on his contract at $48.8 million before a $52.2 million player option for 2025-2026. The 34-year-old, again, age an issue, who turns 35 in September, will be seeking a contract extension this summer, meaning that the Heat risk alienating their post-Dwayne Wade face of the franchise if they prioritize future flexibility and an extension is not hashed out. More than one rival team out there has likewise wondered whether Philadelphia, in the wake of its first-round exit, will mount a trade run at Butler to reacquire Joel Embiid's close friend if the 76ers are unsuccessful in using their projected $50+ million in salary cap space to acquire presumed top target Paul George. And in the title, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, the favorites to land Jimmy Butler. That's according to a lot of the reports out there. That is also according to the betting odds. Philadelphia, by far and away, the favorites to land Jimmy Buckets, 2-1 odds, followed by the New Orleans Pelicans, the Brooklyn Nets, Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs. I think Philadelphia is mentioned here, and they are the favorites because he's played there, they have a need, they have all this money, and it also factors in, Chip, the relationship between Butler and Joel Embiid.
Which I think you had to consider in this situation. And look, when it comes to Jimmy, the closest that this team has been in a very long time to reaching that promised land was probably when Jimmy Butler was on the squad.
Yep.
I mean, that was the best constructed team, the most successful team they've really had in the Joel Embiid era. And I get it. And it's another player, as we continue to talk about here, who's aging, has some injury concerns. But Jimmy's a little different to me because what did Daryl Morey say? Again, he wants a wing who has proven playoff success. You might say, oh, Paul George didn't really have that, whatever. Jimmy Butler has that. He's a guy who's proven to always step up his game every postseason, and that's what it takes to win. Also, Jimmy doesn't necessarily have to be so ball dominant all the time. We've seen, especially in the regular season, he can let Maxey cook.
Yep.
Early in playoff games, first half, first three quarters, he can let Embiid get his work done early. He can let Maxey second, third quarter take over. But then when it comes to that fourth quarter, when maybe Maxey's getting double teamed more, Embiid maybe is getting tired, maybe he's injured again, Jimmy's the one down the stretch of these games who can take over and be that big time player. I like the fit a lot. If somehow a trade can get done, I'd be all about it, and we can put those Tobias Harris over me. We can put that all to bed, baby. We can put that all to bed.
To your point, too, Butler is a player who kind of likes to feel out the game a little bit, and as the game progresses, that's when he understands the flow of the game. Very smart player, where he can attack, where he can pick and choose his spots. And again, like everybody is worried about the age of these players. I'm not worried about the age of these players because of this reason. We're not projecting what's going to happen, and I'm not frankly worried about what's going to happen in 5 years from now. Joel Embiid and let's say Jimmy Butler or any of these free agents are going to be off the books in the future. Tyrese Maxey is still going to be young and on this team. Then you're in a spot, once they come off the books, to have more cap space and reload. What I'm worried about, not 5 years from now with the 34-year-old right now, I'm worried about the next year or two in trying to win an NBA championship. And coming up next, we're going to take a look at that. What would it take to get Jimmy Butler and in turn improve the Sixers' chances of bringing the Larry O.B. back to the city of brotherly love for the first time since the 1980s? First, let's get to our sponsor, Prize Picks. #1 daily fantasy sports app, largest independently run daily fantasy sports app, and the most used daily fantasy sports app in the game. They make daily fantasy sports so easy. You pick 2 or more players, you choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money. If you use the link down below, prizepicks.com/CLNS, you get a $100 deposit match. Our selections here for today's show takes a look at some of these second round series, and these are picks for games 1 through 4 combined. And I like how Prize Picks kind of does that. Donovan Mitchell against the Boston Celtics. We know that he could score a lot, more than 112.5 points. It seems like he can drop 50 points on any given night. So games 1 through 4, let's go more there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, good distributor of the basketball against the Mavericks, more than 23 dimes. And then Chet Holmgren, more than 37 rebounds, with Boston being without Kristaps Porzingis. Win big money. Withdraw your winnings within the Prize Picks app. Pick more, pick less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. That link is down below in the show notes of this video. Before we get to some Jimmy Butler trade ideas and a look at what it could cost to get Jimmy back to Philly, let's recall the original Jimmy Butler trade. Sign and trade. A 1-for-1. And it was not even. The Heat overwhelmingly won this trade for the player that Jimmy Butler became, and then they made it to 2 NBA Finals. NBA bubble 2020. My gosh, we're far removed from that, thankfully. And then last year, when the Heat made it to the NBA Finals and lost to the Denver Nuggets. Heat get Jimmy Butler, the 76ers received Josh Richardson. Bleacher Report at that time proposed a wild, or Bleacher Report at that time gave that trade an A grade. They gave that trade an A grade, which is crazy to think back on. But they also proposed a wild 4-team trade that we want to relay here on the show, decipher it, break it down, dissect it. Philadelphia simply would receive Jimmy Butler, just getting the lone player. The Heat reload a little bit. They get Donovan Mitchell, long rumored to be a Heat target, and Kyle Kuzma. Good player who I think is more of a role player, but a very, very good role player who can also start. I think him going to Miami would be a good fit for him to extract the best out of his career by Eric Spoelstra and Heat culture. Cavaliers receive Tyler Hero, a Miami first-round pick this upcoming draft in 2024. 2026 Phoenix second via Washington. Could be high because it's from Washington. They're always terrible. And a Clippers first from Philadelphia, and then a 2030 first from Miami. So it gives you a score next to Darius Garland that you lose in Donovan Mitchell, gain in Tyler Hero, and then some good draft capital. And then the Wizards receive Paul Reed, Nikola Jovic, Ty Jerome, and a 2026 Philadelphia first. The Wizards are not close to competing. So then, once they start to maybe get a little bit better, 2026 draft, you get that Philadelphia first rounder that you can use in a trade or use for yourself. We cooked up our own trade too as we hopped in the trade machine, and here is our Jimmy Butler trade idea. This makes Philadelphia a better team. 76ers receive Jimmy Butler and Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson as a player who can hit the three, spread the floor, and has good length. The Heat get Mikal Bridges, a star to replace a superstar, as well as DeAnthony Melton, a good two-way player who fits the Heat culture type of toughness, a 2024 Philadelphia first, which is this year, 16th overall, and a Clippers first via Philadelphia in 2028. Chip mentioned it the other day. What are the Clippers going to look like in 2028? That could be a good draft pick. And then the Nets receive Tyler Hero, Paul Reed, Miami first this year, Clippers first in 2026 from Philadelphia, and then a Lakers second-round pick in 2026 from Miami. The Lakers in 2026, post-LeBron potentially, could be a bad team. I think this is a pretty even trade for all of these teams, and that makes sense. Shout out to Chip for cooking that up. So let's hear from you. Drop your Jimmy Butler trade ideas in the comment section. You hop in the shoes of Daryl Morey, you go to the trade machine, you get creative, and you try to improve the 76ers to bring a title back to Philadelphia.